So in this video, we are going to learn how to request for the post request using the fetch. Okay. So in a previous video, we understood how exactly the fetch API is working internally, how it get executed, what are the different other options are available, and we saw the get method. It means we are fetching the data from the API to our application by using the get method, by using the get function. Okay. Now, in this, we are going to understand how to post request using fetch and access. Okay. So post it means we already have a data and that data we are sending to particular API. So here, first of all, we'll see the example which is related with the fetch API. So first of all, what we have done, we created the data, okay, in a required format we want to share. Okay, so there is a new data and we have this particular object which we want to share over the or to the API. Then whenever we are whenever we want to do the post method, then what we have an option, right? So there is a URL and whatever the data we want to share to that URL, that thing we can pass it. So this thing we also saw in a documentation of a fetch API that with URL you can pass whatever the kind of a data in the form of a parameter to the API. So what kind of a request options are there? You can put lots of options here. So method is a post header. We are just attaching this particular header, and the body it should be the new data. Okay, we are just converting into JSON.stringify, and that data we are sharing with our this particular API. Now, obviously, whenever we are requesting for the data, so in response we are getting data, but now we are sending data. So in response, what we will get? So response will contain, okay, this particular, whether it will gives you the status code, okay, whether it's get um, uh, performed properly, the request execution happens correctly or not. So there are different status codes are there. So it will return you 200, 201, 202, 5, 404. Okay, so these kinds of a response or status codes you will get, then it will share with you that okay, this particular object or this particular data we have updated and all these things. So that is nothing but a response object will contain. So based on that we can alert, okay, so if status code is this 200, if status code is whatever, so you can put, or you can just notify user by means of a alert, by means of a messages, or depends on the response. If you want to redirect to the particular component, you can go ahead with it. But mostly, we are performing this post request on a particular event. Okay, so we created one button. So on button, we are calling one handler function, and inside that handler function, we are writing this particular code. So as soon as button get clicked, this particular code get executed. Now you can pass the data. So here my data is hard coded, right? So I have maintained the static data over here. Now, if you want that the data should be accepted in the form of a form, so you can create the form like username, then ID, title, body, accept the value, pass it to this particular the data or a object by using the array of a object. You can share it on that particular data. You can set it for the body and then you can share it. So there are multiple ways. Again, you can just standardize it. Instead of putting the URL here, you just create a different variable to store this thing. Okay, so instead of this, you will just write, okay, URL, and whatever the consider you want to search particular ID related post, or in a gate you want you have to do some searching, that thing also we can apply. Okay, so there are lots of different ways to write the code. Okay, so you can write the well-defined. First of all, this is the basic thing, basic uh, example we are discussing. And whenever we will start the advanced React, and then we can come and we just combine these features. Okay, how to optimize the code, how you will write the well-written code. Lots of things are there. We will cover it. Now, let's understand the fetch, how to post the request by using Axios. Again, it's the same thing. What you need to do, you need to just, instead of a fetch API, you need to put it as a, you need to import the Axios, and then you can use Axios dot post. Same thing, you can put the input data, and then based on a response, you can decide whatever you want to do. Okay. Now here in this example, F name and L name, this is the particular data. We are accepting the data from the form, and we are putting it as a key and value pair, and we use the spread operator. We are adding this data to the existing data, and the whole data, input data, we are setting it as a parameter to share the whatever the updated data to the post, to the related API. So this thing, another thing you can do. So you can accept the data by means of a form. You can put it as a static data, your wish. But by means of this second parameter, you can put the related data, you can post it. Now let's check it programmatically, how we can do it. I have to exit this, and then we can come back to our example. The same code I have written. So this is the get request. So I don't want it right now. So I'll comment it, and okay. Then is the data, I'm not doing anything with the data, or new data d dot, okay, data one. Fine, let it be. It doesn't matter to us. And let's control Z, control Z. Okay, let's concentrate over here. I have created one button. So this is the previous example. I have embedded the post request in the same example. So I have created one button. When I'm clicking on that button, okay, it will redirect to the handler. And in my handler, I have written the same code like new data and the request option, and I'm passing it to this particular fetch API. Now here I have mentioned it's a post method, by means of a post method, and you can attach this body. Now let's compare this with the fetch. Sorry, Axios. In Axios also, I have mentioned that this is the post method. Call this API and pass this particular request option to the this particular API and print whatever the response is. Now in an app, which one is currently okay? Axios one is there. Fine, let's understand. Let's execute this Axios one first. So in Access, these are the names, and this button is there. When I click, as you can see, it's printing the chain object. Okay, so we are fetching it by means of a get method of Access. And now we are clicking on the add new post. So after some time, if you observe, it is giving us this particular response. Okay, so response mention configuration. Okay, next there is a data. Okay, inside data there is a some body. Okay, inside body you can see user ID 111. Okay, title is nothing but a, wait, let me drag it little bit. Title is nothing but a my title, body is nothing but a my body, right? So whatever I have mentioned over here, that is that data has been accepted. Header is this, method is post. Okay, and the status code is 201. So it means successfully we have posted this particular data in the API. So this is all about Access. Again, I want to show you something. This is the documentation. Then inside this, I click on examples. So in this examples, you can observe lots of examples of Axios. Like here, I have mentioned before also that okay, particular URL is there, and you want to find specific ID in the searching format, or it may be the variable. So that thing we can uh, put it as a question mark. Okay, so this is the parameter in a URL, and the parameter we are saying fetch the users where ID is equal to 1234. So instead of 1234, we can take one variable and we can fetch the data of a specific user ID. Okay. Okay, here it is. As you can see, the params you can pass. If you don't want to pass it like this, it may find you complicated. Then you can use this thing also. Now here, what we are doing, get, we are fetching some request for this HTTP or whatever the URL is, and we are just getting the response, we are catching the error, and finally, this is the well formatted and well executed code is there. So I recommend you that, okay, go ahead with the catch and finally. So to protect the unexpected situations, next one is the get user. Wait, get user. Okay, fine. Lots of examples are there. Now let's check the post request. Axios.post. We are posting this particular data to the user and performing multiple concurrent requests. So here we created the different functions. Okay, consider I want to get the data of a 1234 with particular permissions. Okay, so for that we created a different methods. Inside that we are writing this Axios code or fetch API code with the different URLs. Okay, so maybe for searching purpose, sorting purpose, whatever. So here get user account. So we have added this particular URL for it. Get user permission. Then we are fetching this URL. So based on the functionality you want to do, you can change the URL. Okay. And all inside the promise. Okay. API, this thing is little bit promise.all get user and then get user permission, how we will execute this thing, right? So we need to, because they are returning promises to you, and how you will handle it. So promise.all, we are just passing it, and if we get a result, so we are getting array of a result because we are calling two functions. Okay. And the results of 0 is nothing but a account details, and result of 1 is nothing but a permission related details. So like this you can achieve. There are lots of different ways to perform the things. Okay. Now enhancements are there. If you can check it, lots of different functions and examples are there with the Axios. Now let's go ahead how we will fetch it by using the fetch API. So we will comment this, and we'll comment this import also. Let's comment out the fetch API, and let's comment out the fetch API component, and let's check it. So here, same thing, fetch API, we pass the data and we are receiving that particular response. Okay. So here the whole API is different. What I'm doing here, just a minute. I have used a different API. Okay, JSON placeholder.com/post, and I am just printing the title of it. Okay, here it is the d.title. So we are getting all the titles here. And when I click on add new post, and here after some times the new post has been added, and the new data is like this, my body, title, user ID, and all these things, then prototype and all these things. Now you can check it in a network, which is the latest request is there. You can check it as a fetch API, right? And before that there is a fetch API is there, post this thing is there. Okay, 201, the status code is created. We created the new post. The URL is this. request method is post. Status code is 201. It means created. And let's see, header, cache, all the things I've mentioned here. So you can check it in a networks also. Payload. What is the payload? Payload is nothing but a data. Okay. So which data this particular request is having. Okay. So this is our data. Okay. So my body ID. So whatever we mention here in our new data, that thing is there. Okay. As a payload. Header, payload, preview is the thing but this thing. Response, we got a response in this format. So you can check the things. Okay, how much time waiting for the servers, how much time it took for the complete execution, whether it's giving you the race situation or it's taking so much of time. So everything you can verify and accordingly you can increase your performance. Because see, these are the very simple examples and we are just putting one request and only simple thing is there here. We are just, we normally the standardization is create one function. Inside that function, call this particular thing, get all post will be the function. Then create a new post will be the function. Then delete particular post, search particular post. So these are the different functions are there. Accordingly, each functions have their different URLs. Okay, API URLs are there. Data is different. So consider you want to search something. So you have to pass the ID. Okay, and whatever the ID you have passed, that particular response you will get. So it varies. And this is a simple application, so perfectly all right. We don't need to check the performance and all these things because we are just putting or we are just fetching one URL at a time, and the requests are really very less. But consider your if on your application maybe million or trillion requests are hitting, okay, then it performance means a lot. Okay, so there are lots of enhancement are there. But before that, you need to understand this basic things. Then and then only we can go ahead and optimize this particular code. So hope this post request is clear for all. Now we will understand how exactly the uh, if you see, when I'm clicking on the add a new post, it's taking some time and then it's adding the new data. So if it's taking time, it means it's in a loading situation. Okay, so there are 3 steps of a promises we already aware about, right? So pending, fulfilled, and reject. So pending, it is a pending, so that's why it's taking time for the loading purpose and all. So here we need to put some loading message or consider some errors occurs and some 404 and different kinds of bad request API and all these things happens when you are trying to access the APIs. So how we are going to handle? So we can complicate this code. So lots of things are pending, but we will cover it one by one. So next we will understand how to optimize these things.